10:01, good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. Earlier this morning, former Titans running back Chris Johnson sat down with Good Morning America host Michael Strahan and announced that he has been diagnosed with ALS. Johnson said he was diagnosed in 2025. He turns 40 years old this September. CJ2K's 10-year NFL career included 6 seasons with the Titans. He was a 1,000-yard rusher in all 6 of those seasons, with the 2,000-yard season happening in 2009. Chris Johnson still holds the NFL record for yards from scrimmage in a single season with 2,509 yards. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Well, I'd say good morning, and I would be excited and all these different things to be back, and I'm happy to be back and be a part of the show. Robert, Lucas, me with you until 1 o'clock. It was a great trip to Europe, but today's show starts under somber circumstances because former Titans running back Chris Johnson, as Lucas just pointed out in his sports update, did an interview with Michael Strahan on Good Morning America today and announced that he has been dealing with an ALS diagnosis. And it's an incredibly sad story. Anytime you see somebody affected by this disease, not just the person who's, of course, dealing with the idea of essentially being a prisoner in your own body by the end of it, but of course the family and how much that continues to have ripple effects of it, especially that he is so young and has no family history of the disease, I think is the crushing thing. And he goes on this morning to announce it on Good Morning America. And we, for those of you who are listening with us on FM radio today, we are also live streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We are going to play the audio or a clip of the audio, Lucas, this morning to start the show. In the noon hour, I asked Robert to pull a clip of the Good Morning America interview because I think it's important for people who can, if they're able. And, of course, you can find this all over Good Morning America's social media accounts. But if you're listening to the radio show, watching the radio show today, we are going to run a portion of this interview in the noon hour so people can see just how much this disease has affected his body in just a year since his diagnosis.
It's a evil, nasty disease, ALS. A year ago, he was able to hold his daughter. He is unable to do that anymore. What a gut punch, man, to start the week. Your heart sinks as soon as you see news reports start to leak out that Chris Johnson's going to make an appearance on GMA for an announcement about his health. And immediately you just think it can't be something good. And here it is. Just awful news for a player that will be right up there with the absolute greatest Titans memory any Titans fan will ever have.
So what I wanted to do today to start the show, because I want to do silly, goofy, stupid stuff. I missed you too. I know you enjoy when I go out of town, but I miss, the daily. The thing about vacation is it's great to get away, but it also gives you an appreciation when you come home. And so I miss doing the show, and I want to do the stupid, silly stuff that we do for 3 hours a day. But that was not the right tone to walk in here with today. And what I also don't want to do is eulogize Chris Johnson before he passes. Because I'm not criticizing anybody today if that is the tone that they take, because I understand that it's somber. Anytime there's a whether it's somebody who's in your life personally or somebody who you feel like as many sports fans do with athletes, and especially an athlete as significant in this community as Chris Johnson, and in frankly NFL history as Chris Johnson is, you have a tendency to do that. Tim Shaw has shown us that you can have a certain quality of life while dealing with one of the most diabolical diseases that we are striving to find cures for. ALS is one such disease. Tim Shaw is somebody also from the Titans community who has been impacted.
His former teammate.
By ALS. It's just such and it's unfortunate that these two men and their families will deal with this. But I think this message, Robert, if we could, from Chris Johnson, is an important reminder of that he's still here with us, even if he looks different than you are accustomed to seeing him.
And you've chosen to share some personal news today, and it takes a tremendous amount of courage to share it. What would you like for people to know?
First, I want people to know that I'm still me. ALS has changed what my body can do, but it hasn't changed who I am.
In 2025, at the age of 39, Johnson was diagnosed with ALS, the disease progressing so rapidly that he now uses his eyes to trigger a speech-generating device to speak. Why do you want to share this now?
Because if sharing my story helps even one person get diagnosed sooner, inspires more research, or gives another family hope, then it's worth it.
And that's the reason, Lucas, why it's an important message, because he's saying, hey, don't treat me like I'm gone just because this terrible thing has happened to me. Still here, still me. I noticed as we were going through the audio this morning, and I mentioned this to you two, that it sounds like him, that we now have the ability to make it sound.
That's crazy.
Like the person, with the cadence, with the tone. And while there are, I want to bitch and moan about the zoo in this data center later at some point in the show. While there are bad parts about AI and things that, silly, stupid pictures that are made on the internet, I'm guilty of doing it occasionally too. AI has also given us the ability to make the person feel more like themselves because you hear your own voice.
It's crazy.
As opposed to this entirely different being talking out of a computer.
Like, for folks listening that maybe didn't see the Good Morning America clip, that just heard that clip, you assume that he's just speaking on Zoom or something. But he's not. When you see the video, literally his eyes are moving, and it blows your mind how they're able to do that. The cadence is so locked in and perfect. But Tim Shaw is the shining example of that, right? That you can continue on living and being a part of a community that you were before your diagnosis. Tim Shaw, it's inspiring to always see him out at Titans practice. We saw him out at Coach Mack's memorial service. He is a part of special teams meetings with Bones Fossil, the special teams coordinator. So here's to CJ being able to do that same thing, man, because they're about the same age. They overlapped with the Titans for a couple of years. And it's insane that a disease this rare can impact the Titans multiple times like this for players that were on the team at the same time. It blows your mind. It's horrible, but it's cool to see CJ, using his platform to remind folks that, no, he's still here, very much so.
And so I also want to say, to your point about Tim Shaw and him being around the Titans, they have done, as an organization, a remarkable job having Tim Shaw around and supporting him and his loved ones through an incredibly difficult time for their family. So if you, again, it's a tragic circumstance that has befallen Chris Johnson. He is a part of a family in that organization that has additional tools and resources and understanding of what it is. Robert, I know you mentioned this earlier. People may be familiar with O.J. Brigance. He's a former Ravens linebacker who, if I'm not mistaken, was a part of the Super Bowl team in 2000. Special teamer primarily, who was also diagnosed with ALS. So there are ways to support individuals who go through this. Obviously, Amy made a statement this morning through the team, Amy Adams Strunk. Some people leave a mark on an organization that you just can't put into words. Chris Johnson is one of those people for us. His leadership on the field, in addition to his impact in the locker room and Nashville community, have written him permanently into the story of this franchise. Learning this news is extremely difficult, and we will support Chris every step of the way throughout his journey. We are holding him and his family close and join our fans around the world in expressing our love for Chris. Again, that's a statement from Titans controlling owner Amy Adams Strunk via their social media this morning.
It can feel crass to, listen to radio segments or read articles about it, and the news is Chris Johnson announcing his ALS diagnosis, and then usually the very next line is, here's what he did in the NFL, right? Here's what he did on the field, because he's so much more than a player. He's a father. He has a family. But on another level, I think it is okay to remind people of those things, because he did bring so much joy to Titans fans over those years. Like, he provided that joy. He put that joy into people's lives who spent their Sundays watching the Titans and just had their breath taken away by CJ Tukey. He's one of those players in that Derrick Henry vein, right? That the second he hit that hole, like you just caught your breath and every time would stand still for a moment when CJ Touquet was blazing down the field. So it's sort of an odd thing because part of me kind of cringes when that's the first thing we go to is just what he did on the field. But there's also a part of me that understands it because that's the joy that he provided people in his career. And he continues to provide that joy to the people in his life, and he will continue to do that. So obviously we wish nothing but the best to a true Titans legend, man. Just Mount Rushmore type of player for this organization.
Well, and my memory of Chris Johnson is different than yours, right? Because you obviously grew up a Titans fan during Chris's time on the team. I did not cover Chris as a player. I got here after his time with the Titans was done. But the significance of him, and obviously everybody, if you are an NFL fan, you understand the significance of one of the most accomplished players and somebody who's done something that only, if I'm not mistaken, 8 total players in NFL history have done, which is rush for 2,000 yards and do it in spectacular fashion.
And still holds the record for scrimmage yards in a season.
When I think it's after, I can't remember which Chiefs playoff game he was at, that he came to be in the locker room with the Titans players after they beat the Chiefs. It was later. It was one of the later playoff games against Kansas City.
Yeah, it would have been the Malarkey game. I mean, that was their first playoff win in years. So if it was a win, it had to be the Malarkey game in Kansas City in the 2017 season.
Then maybe I'm misremembering if it was Kansas City. I remember he was in the locker room for a playoff game with Derrick Henry. So maybe it was not. And I'm sorry. Maybe I'm misremembering the game or the situation. I just remember a game of significance when Derrick was operating at his highest level. So I don't think it would have been 16 because obviously that was DeMarco Murray. There was a picture of Derrick Henry and Chris Johnson in the locker room together. And just to see Derrick get to, because Derrick idolizes the running backs who have come through this franchise's history, including, of course, Chris Johnson and Eddie George. And it was always so cool to see a future Hall of Famer in Derrick Henry, from my perspective, get to be around Earl Campbell and Eddie George and Chris Johnson and how much he relished being in their presence because of his appreciation for their significance to this franchise at that position that he was in the middle of dominating at too. So forgive me if I'm misremembering the situation or the game, but I remember that very viscerally and seeing just how much joy it brought the team and also Derrick. So yeah, it's a fine line, right? Because we do have a tendency to make the remembrance of people or to talk about people in terms of what they do, not who they are. And I think all of us struggle with this, to separate to some degree who are you and the kind of person you are and the kind of, you mentioned he's a father and the kind of son and all these different things that make you a human being as opposed to what defines you as a career professional. You understand why people mention those things, of course, because it's a part of who they are, but it doesn't define them. And the thing that I think is so important about Chris Johnson's message is that he is trying to reiterate for people who are feeling sorrow and emotion, and the chat is pointing out devastation today, and understandably so. It's okay to process those feelings, but from Chris's standpoint, as the person who's going through it himself, don't pity me. We're going to fight. But that's what it is. And I think that's why it's so important for him to deliver that message to a national audience today, because Chris Johnson and Tim Shaw have the notoriety of what it is to be an NFL football player. A lot of people suffer in much less public settings with this disease, and it's so cool to see when people who are affected at higher levels of celebrity or athletes or something like that make those messages public to all of those who are dealing with those diseases, who may not be able to express those feelings or feel seen themselves.
I mean, he's a young man. He's 40. ESPN has it incorrect, by the way. The ESPN article says he's 39.
He's 40.
He turns 41 in September. So
it was the Ravens. Sorry, Robert. It was the Ravens playoff win.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Oh, in Baltimore.
Derrick Henry,
Yeah. It's just a stark reminder of how
thank you, V-Love,
how fast this disease accelerates, right? I mean, it's just insane. I remember CJ doing he joined the show like not that long ago, maybe a little over a year ago.
He was getting into scouting.
He was getting into scouting. Yeah, he had a podcast with Lendale White called Smash and Dash that I'm sure a ton of Titans fans listened to. I remember CJ doing the rounds at Radio Row, not this past Super Bowl, but the one before with Lendale White promoting the podcast. Maybe it was even the year before that, but it just doesn't feel like that long ago that we saw Chris Johnson out and about and doing media and being himself. And he is still himself, but then to see the effect that the disease takes and how quickly it happens, it's just sobering, man.
Yeah. And that's why for those of you who haven't seen the Good Morning America interview, they have posted it in its entirety on their own social media accounts. So obviously you don't need us to see it, but I do want, and Robert has indulged me here, to play a portion of that interview on the video broadcast for us, on the streaming broadcast for us in the noon hour today, because I do want you to see how much his body has been impacted by this disease, because it's jarring. Like I've seen Tim Shaw almost, weekly for the past 10, 11 years, just being around Titans practice, because Tim is around the Titans facility on a regular basis. And he has battled that disease over an extended period of time.
Like 12 years. It's incredible.
To see how much faster Chris's, or how much faster the process has unfortunately gone for Chris, is just a stark reminder. We've had several stark reminders around here lately of the importance of appreciating health and the people around you while you've gotten them. And everybody everywhere in the world every day deals with some level of suffering or some level of impact or some level of disease. So I don't want to make this hyper local to us, but just to see another reminder of, man, you don't know how quickly things can turn on you, and to see the people who are not willing to lay down in those moments and keep fighting and fight for others on behalf of the research that's necessary to beat these diseases. So again, our hearts and minds and we are all with Chris Johnson and his family today, and everybody who's impacted by this disease and may have some connection to a family member or a loved one who's impacted by this disease. I don't know how to pivot and do stupid, silly, goofy show the way that we normally do, but I would like to at some point today, because like I said, I don't want to do a eulogy with you guys today, especially while Chris is still with us, even though I think it's important to draw attention to this today.
One of the silver linings for me, though, was when he did get to talk. Like, this is obviously a tragic, horrific thing that's happened to him. And we talk a lot of crap about AI, but I thought it was really cool that they could get his voice to be his voice box.
It's crazy.
Because I feel like a lot of us are so accustomed to when someone has ALS, it's like the robot voice. It's whatever voice comes out of like the speech box. But like now, he talked about like not being able to hold his kids anymore. But now he can still talk to his kids. His kids can still hear his voice.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to change over time. I thought that was really stinking cool.
Yeah,
it's like after this disease takes everything from him, somebody who was a physical specimen, like the 1% of athletes on the planet, and now this disease has taken his body, like the thing that he could always trust on from him. Now he can at least talk to his kids, right? His kids can hear his voice. I think that's my silver lining in the whole thing.
Go ahead, Lucas.
I was going to ask Robert, because he's an ECU grad. Where is CJ in the hierarchy of all time?
Greatest of all time.
Yeah, easily, right?
Far and away.
Yeah.
It's like it's him, and then many rungs down, it's David Garrard.
Yeah.
Zay Jones, like those guys. But Chris Johnson is head, shoulders, chest, knees, and toes above everyone else. Only first-round pick in school history. He came into school with a learning disability, and he crushed it, stayed in school, stayed with it. Didn't even really get a run until his junior year.
That's insane.
Until he really started picking it up. And before we came on the show, we watched his last ECU game, which was a Hawaii Bowl game.
Against Boise.
Against Boise. 41-38 final. Chris Johnson finished with 400 and some odd all-purpose yards, 200-plus yards on the ground. He was electric, solidified him in being a first-round pick. He just an incredible athlete, incredible dude.
So I'm glad that you brought that up. And you may, Robert, have noticed while you were giving a very thoughtful and emotional and correct perspective on this that I was smirking at you a little bit. Maybe you didn't notice that. because Lucas is too good of a friend to you to do what I'm about to do to you, which is to say that Tom Pelissero is also reporting the 2 Indianapolis Colts defensive backs have been suspended for gambling because we did bring up the AI voice ability earlier in the segment. No, I know, because Lucas is a good friend, but it made me smile because, okay, even when we are doing the show, when we listen to all of it.
But it's about the point he made.
I know. It made me happy because it made me feel like we were doing the show again. I'm sorry.
No, but the point about...
It was a good point, buddy.
About his kids still being able to hear his voice is not a point that we made.
No,
that is
absolutely.
something that you maybe gets overlooked with things like this, where we marvel at the technology, but to really think about the impact that can have for his family, that is beyond measure.
Awesome. So we have a lot of things on the show today. As I mentioned, we'll come back to the Chris Johnson stuff with the interview itself that Michael Strahan did this morning on Good Morning America. 615-737-1045 is how you get involved. Lucas and Robert are going to catch me up on everything that I missed last week, because it sounds like they had a hell of a news week, which, by the way, is still going with the Brendan Sorsby stuff. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about this morning on The Zone. Nothing worse than a plumbing, electrical, or HVAC emergency. You don't know what it will cost, or if it will get fixed correctly, or if someone is just trying to sell you something. That's when you call Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, because their experts are going to solve your problems quickly and put you in position to succeed. The price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. There's no hidden fees or surprises when you get your bill. Hiller has been in business for over 35 years and is family owned and operated. Their techs are professional, experienced, and trustworthy. And when they're on their way, you'll receive a photo of the tech and a link to track them in real time, so you don't waste your time waiting around. 100% satisfaction guaranteed of happy you'll be, or the service is free. That's the Happy Hiller promise. So book online today at happyhiller.com. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world, of which, by the way, I heard they now have the best new spot in East Nashville.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to
A
be
source
there.
is saying. Multiple sources can confirm.
You will find me there. If you're ever looking for me for any reason, I'm probably at that Hattie B's.
So it's on Gallatin Pike and East. I've driven by it several times because the car wash that I go to is in East Nashville.
The Mr. Car Wash?
Yes, Mr. Car
Yes.
Wash.
Hold on, they don't pay us any money.
That's a good point.
Don't
But,
talk about that.
I mean, they do a good job.
you should go where I go, Mr. Washy Washy.
That's not a real.
It is. You should
Is that
go.
your backyard?
Mr. Washy Washy.
Is that Cheyenne and a hose?
That is Cheyenne and a hose. Come on, Mr. Washy Washy, get it together.
Speaking of Cheyenne, who of course is a recurring character on this show, much to her dismay. Robert was telling us that Cheyenne is in a situation where she's purging all the blankets from her home, or you're making her purge the blankets from your home?
We have too many blankets. There are too many blankets in our house. I'm trying to purge everything. I'm going through my closet. I'm getting rid of clutter. If it doesn't bring me joy, it is split from the residence. It's getting kicked out. And I took inventory of how many blankets we had in the house. There ain't no need for a household of 2 people and 2 cats to have 18 blankets.
It's a lot of blankets.
So I made a deal with her. Told her,
Making like a blanket fort? What are you doing with these 18 blankets?
I don't know. We got a big ass chest in the living room that was just stacked with folded blankets. So I lined them all up like a firing squad, and I told her, every 3 blankets you get rid of, I will buy you one of your choice. And I was hoping to get rid of 3 of them, 5 of them, something like that. She gets rid of 9 blankets.
So now you got to buy 3 blankets.
I didn't know how high blankets were. Blankets are like $50, $40 for a good one. So now I'm out to the whole $150 while Cheyenne looks up Louis Vuitton blankets. She's like, "You didn't put any parameters on this."
Just turn the AC up a couple degrees. There's your blanket.
I've been trying to, and I sleep next to this woman every night, much to her chagrin, and she sweats her ass off.
We don't have to
night.
air that part of
You
it.
don't need 45 blankets when you're this hot. I got to beg to get the house underneath 70 degrees.
Hot as in attractive, not that she's sweating through your sheets.
The
You
bed
did not
is
have
damp.
to air that part of your literal dirty laundry.
Every time I roll over, I'm wondering if we had a waterbed bust or something. Like, Lord.
The other thing that Robert got in my ear during the commercial break and said was, do y'all want some good news? And of course, after talking about CJ and the tragedy that is his ALS diagnosis, and obviously making sure that we cover that properly, yes, I would like some good news. And his good news was that they have new Zen flavors, as long as we're talking about people who don't spend money with us for things that we like. And you said,
These new flavors can help me quit smoking.
okay, well, I have our first test of this because I've brought you back European cigarettes.
Oh, they're Marlboros too.
Okay, well,
Cowboy Killers, the
Just
Reds.
everybody getting a free shout out today.
Oh, they look so good.
So-
hold them to the camera. Let me smell them.
I brought these back for you because, of course, a week in Europe, there's going to be cigarettes.
Oh,
That's just what it
Cowboy
is.
Killers.
And so I'm willing to test that theory. If we wanted to really question whether or not you're prepared to give up smoking for these new Zen flavors,
Well-
I have our first test right here.
But I don't have the new flavors yet. I don't have any of them. So how could I possibly quit?
Well, it's okay because I'm lying to you. These are just cigs from Lakeside on Saturday.
No.
I didn't bring you back any Euro cigs.
Leave those cigarettes in there. Let me dispose of those. They don't need to be around here, potentially ruining, poisoning the well. Next thing you know, Blaine's going to be smoking. Slay's going to be smoking. Zach back here is going to be smoking. You hide those cigarettes. You give those cigs to
Zach
me.
Lyons smoking a cigarette would make me laugh.
It-
I think Will smoking a cigarette would make me laugh, and Zach smoking a cigarette would make me laugh.
God, if you saw Will outside smoking a cig, it's like tough day. Dude.
Well, I heard he needed one after he crushed karaoke.
Oh,
did crush karaoke.
He
Hell yeah.
killed
Excellent.
karaoke.
So your Euro cigs / Lakeside cigs are here because anytime I buy a pack of cigarettes when I'm out, I bring the remainder for Robert so that I don't have to have them in my house.
How many's in there? About judging by the sound of it, that's about 16.
According to my calculations, I smoked 8 cigarettes on Saturday.
Lord.
Damn.
God.
Well,
dude.
I was still in Europe. The plane landed at 4:30 on Saturday, And our friend Jack McPherson asked me if I wanted to, do something later, and I ended up at a wonderful establishment in Lucas's side of town.
Yeah, I just shout them out. Hell, we shouting everybody else
Lakeside
out.
Lounge actually deserves it. Also, they sell cigarettes in Lakeside, which I greatly appreciate. And we had a lot of listeners from the show that were hanging out at Lakeside, so it's always good to see people hanging out and talk about some show stuff. So I have European observations for the show, because cigarettes don't count in Europe, and that is my first European observation. But as we are getting ready to lose Lucas for basically the entire noon hour, because Brazil will play today, and he was very cute last night. He texted both me and Robert and said that we should wear our Brazil jerseys today in unanimity and support.
None of you did.
Of the Brazil.
Well, mine is a medium.
Robert's
so.
in a Ray Lewis t-shirt, and I'm basically still dressed for vacation.
I thought this was Jonathan Ogden.
Oh, is it?
No, it is Ray.
You have a Jonathan Ogden shirt?
Well, who else would have a Jonathan Ogden shirt besides me?
A t-shirt for a left tackle, understanding that he's a very important left tackle.
I'd wear a Marshall Yonda shirt. Don't matter to me.
No, I know.
You're going to spit in my face.
I know. So among the European observations are that traveling right now, I don't know why, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. The vacation itself made it all worth it. But to get to Europe and to get back from Europe, maybe the worst travel experience I've ever had in my lifetime. And I wasn't even mad at United about it. Because, what am I going to do if the plane has mechanical issues? We're over the Atlantic, and the pilot gets on the headset and says, "Yeah, boys, we got to turn around. We got to land this bird back in Barcelona, and you can't get back in the air again until the next day because the crew has already exceeded his flight time." I had no idea of this. Anyway, logistics to get anywhere, it seems right now, kind of hellish. I hadn't flown in a place or to anywhere that I had to take a connecting flight. I couldn't tell you. Probably since the last time the Titans played in Europe, and it wasn't that bad in 23. But Frankfurt, Germany, that airport can kiss my ass. Barcelona airport can kiss my ass. Lovely people, love the Germans, love the Spanish.
It was the same in Lisbon when I was there. The customs ingress and egress situation in and out of Europe is brutal right now for non-Europeans, which currently includes the British. They are not really part of the European Union, so they got to go through all the same steps we big Americans have to go through, and it's hilarious.
The only solace that I took is seeing angry British tourists in the line next to me while I waited 2 hours to get through the Frankfurt passport control.
They're schlepping it with us lazy Americans. It's fantastic.
Oh, my God. So that's the first one. The second one, to be in Europe during the World Cup when half of Europe seems like they're in America right now, ideal. Because you could go to all these pubs and bars and stuff around Germany and Spain and take in World Cup games, even though terrible times for the Europeans because of the time difference. They're just getting banged on this deal. But
there's 3 a.m. kickoffs over there.
Yeah, no, Spain and Uruguay was like a midnight kickoff. Yep. And the streets of Barcelona were popping for it. And obviously, celebrating the ability to advance. And to see, just these European watch parties, like you guys, it sounds like the watch parties have been very successful.
They have been electric over at Geodis Park.
My sister went to.
I saw her. Yeah, I saw Lily just the other day. We're going back Wednesday for the Bosnia game. BJ Callahan will be up there hanging out, taking questions and hanging out, watching the game with Nashville fans. So it's free. Go to NashvilleSC.com to RSVP.
Did she ask about me? Did she ask where I was?
My sister?
Yeah. Did she ask about me?
Yes.
She doesn't know your name. She knows that you eat spiders.
No,
she knows his name.
No,
that's the only.
That's just a joke between me and her. She doesn't really.
It's a
think
weird
I
joke.
Eat spiders.
It's a weird joke for you to have.
Yeah, I don't get it either, but she really enjoys it, so I just indulge.
She didn't seem to enjoy it. She seemed to be just unnerved by you.
I asked her, she said, "Oh, there's a spider." I said, "Do you not like spiders either?" She said, "No." I said, "Can you kill them?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, that's good. Cheyenne makes me eat them so she knows that they're gone." And she thought I was being serious.
Yeah, she was stuck on that for a while.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to be stuck on. If you meet this human being for the first time and your first memory of him is, I eat bugs. That's what you led with. I can't help what you lead with in these conversations, okay? I'm just there to clean up the mess afterwards and send you home in an Uber.
What can I say? I've got juice, dude.
So anyway, to the point, watch parties in the for the World Cup around the States look electric. Obviously, us as one of the host nations, electric. To be in Europe during the World Cup so I was in a city in Germany called Hamburg. Mm-hmm. probably people aren't as familiar with it as they are Berlin or Munich or Frankfurt, any of these other major cities, but Hamburg, a pretty big city in Germany. They have this river walk because for some reason, Hamburg, very inland in Germany, but has this huge waterway connection to the ocean. So you've got cruise ships coming down the Riverwalk, and I've never been that close to a cruise ship. I have long detested the idea of a cruise ship. I think they're just giant disease-carrying vacation vessels because I'm pretty sure all of our pandemics are to be blamed by cruise ships, but I've never seen a cruise ship like that close. Incredibly impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Like, this is wild. So I'm walking the Riverwalk in Hamburg, Germany, on like Wednesday night, whenever England and Ghana were playing. Very funny to see the Germans rooting against the English and for Ghana. By the way, Africa having a hell of a World Cup.
They are. 9 of the 10 teams from Africa in this World Cup moved on to the round of 32.
So we'll get back to that in a second. But I enjoyed very much walking along the Riverwalk in Hamburg, and just projectors about every couple thousand feet set up down this Riverwalk, and people just World Cup games all along the Riverwalk. People had brought like the beer carts down and stuff like that. You just got like lawn chairs and picnic tables set up along the Riverwalk for people to take in a World Cup game. So
the world just stops for a couple hours.
I don't know what it is about Europe, but I'm a beer person in Europe, and I'm a tequila person in the States. I feel like I drank so much beer and wine in Europe. It's significant. German wine. Who knew? Who knew?
You didn't catch any Germany games, though, while you were in Germany,
No,
right?
they didn't have a match while I was in Germany. By the
unfortunate.
time I was in Spain is when Germany had its next group stage.
They played today against Paraguay in the knockout round.
Did you have a fricadelle while you were there?
I'm unfamiliar.
That is the father of the modern hamburger.
Oh.
In Hamburg is where it started. It was minced meat on a wheat bun.
I was going to have you do a poorly constructed Google AI search at some point to tell me whether hamburgers come from Hamburg, because a lot of German, by the way, looks like the word fart or something else.
Fart McNugan or whatever.
Okay, now you're getting offensive within an entire region of Bavarian
like I hit him
country.
with
We're
the
allowed to make fun.
Hanga-Dinga-Durgan
We're
or
allowed to make
anything.
fun of the
No.
Germans.
I just took advantage of their great generosity and kindness. Very welcoming, by the way, both peoples of Germany and Spain. I think the Germans are overcompensating, but it's okay.
I mean, Germany gave America 2 of its favorite foods. The Frankfurt gave us hot dogs.
I had no idea that the Germans eat way more hot dogs than we do.
They call them brats.
I think like literally the whole planet knows that. It's Germany. You eat sausage and cabbage and black bread.
Black bread. I ain't never heard of black bread.
There's a joke there that's going to get us in trouble, so we got to keep it moving.
Oh, it looks like chocolate.
I think sometimes there is
bread?
chocolate baked into the bread.
Oh, it's
Pumpernickel.
pumpernickel.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a German thing.
Yeah, that's what they do, man.
It sounds like another Hanga-Dinga-Durgan ass invention, like pumpernickel. Like it sounds like something they would do in like Sweden or Norway or Finland or something.
If you were a dog, your name would be Pumpernickel.
Oh, that would be.
It's a good name for a dog.
Be like, quit pumping over there, pumpernickel.
Or somebody needs to go pump Pumpernickel.
Yeah. Pump is
Pause.
like, yeah.
Pause.
Well, the dogs have those, so yes.
All right, so those are the European. I have many more European observations, but we have things to get to of actual importance, which is everything that happened while I was gone with Brendan Sorsby, because now there's an additional layer about another league that's not letting it in, but one that's willing to. We'll talk about it coming up next. I'm Buck. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. All right, Robert just got in my ear as we were coming back and said TMZ is reporting that Malik Beasley and Ed Davis, the NBA official, are reportedly involved in a gambling scandal. What is going on in basketball here lately?
Is there an Ed Davis that's not a I mean the player, Ed Davis.
Oh, I asked you if it was the official, and you said yes.
I thought you meant like official Ed Davis, like his Instagram.
No. I thought you said an NBA referee was involved in a gambling scandal, which is why I freaked out the way that I did. Anyway, gambling scandal in the NBA. Not quite as far-reaching as I was led to believe earlier. We'll get to that a little later on.
I mean, basketball, that's really where the biggest gambling, game-fixing stuff has happened.
College.
Jonte Porter, the college scandal from this year, and now this.
So, speaking of gambling, here's Brendan Sorsby. So, your guys' week largely consisted, I would imagine, of Brendan Sorsby, because every time, I wasn't on my phone that much, but occasionally check Twitter, and every time I see, or I log into Twitter, there's a new Brendan Sorsby update about a new league telling him, no, bleep off, you can't play for us, starting with the NFL. So walk me through the news cycle last week before we talk about a league that is willing to let him, one that's not, another one that's come out against him, but one that is opening their doors to Brendan Sorsby.
Well, the big news was, I think Tuesday, it came down that Sorsby, or that the NFL will not hold a supplemental draft.
Right.
And Sorsby just won't get the chance to play college football or NFL football in 2026. And the most fascinating thing about it was the letter that the league sent to Sorsby, which we read in its entirety, that basically told him you didn't lay out the situation that brought you here. You showed zero accountability for the situation and made it seem like Sorsby literally turned to the supplemental draft as a plan B, because that's what happened.
Yes.
He tried to come back to college ball, and clearly it was too much of a mess. So he said, all right, plan B, I'll just go play in the NFL. And the league said, no, it doesn't really work that way. But the response from his attorney was maybe even more eye-opening, saying, we're going to come after you, NFLPA rights and all of these things, which we asked Ramon about, of course, and he scoffed at it, as he should. Fascinating to me, considering his attorney is Jeffrey Kessler, who has literally gone up against the NFL and won before. A long-standing history of being a successful sports attorney. So the biggest conclusion we came to was this is a billable hours thing, and Brendan Sorsby is not going to take the NFL to court and win, because of course the NFL can decide whether or not it holds a supplemental draft, and he's got to wait until 2027. Now, the latest update on this was right as the weekend started. Going into the weekend, the CFL said in a statement to USA Today that they will not allow Brendan Sorsby to play football in Canada this year. Quote, upholding the integrity of the league and ensuring fair competition are paramount to the CFL. The allegations involving Brendan Sorsby are serious and concerning. At this time, the CFL will not register a contract for him, and no team will be permitted to add him to its negotiation list. Now, there has been absolutely no public or reported interest from Sorsby in the CFL. So I did appreciate this from the CFL, because I don't know that Brendan Sorsby cares to go play in the Canadian Football League. So I like that they came out and said, no, we don't want you. Even though I don't think he approached them. I don't know that he didn't, but it's like somebody coming out and being like, no, I don't want to date Sydney Sweeney. No, Sydney. No. Please.
I'm saving myself.
Stay out of my DMs. I'm saving myself.
I think it's also funny because, like, how many people had issues with the NFL due to legal issues or substance abuse and then ran to the CFL. And the CFL's like, oh, this guy gambled? No, you can't play in our league. Yeah, we let Aju and Chad Kelly and Sean Lemon and Ontario Smith and Lawrence Phillips and Jonathan Hefney and Ricky Williams, all those other guys, they were allowed to play, but you're not. It's like, dude, he wasn't even talking to you. Like, why don't you guys mind your own bit? I just thought it was funny. It's like, he didn't even say he was going to do this. No, but they want to stand on their moral high horse. No, we're not going to allow him to come over here.
It's very Canadian.
But the biggest thing from the Sorsby saga, at least the latest installment of it, is just shut up, just take your lumps, and just accept that you're going to have to face an inkling of accountability. Like one little morsel of accountability, something that Sorsby, or at least Sorsby's camp, have seemed allergic to embracing the idea of.
Well, it's let me say this, and it will be my only defense of that notion. If you had $5 million on the line you would try every legal avenue you could to make sure that you made $5 million. I'm sure of it. So but I understand what you're saying. Now, the UFL has not done the moral high ground thing that the CFL has done. The UFL,
No, they're like, no, dude, you want to come over here?
as I say, the UFL
Gamblers need a quarterback.
seems. Actually, I think they don't. I watched a UFL game recently. Houston Gamblers pretty good. Apparently, they got the best quarterback in the league. I did a little UFL research.
I mean,
the
their
other day.
season is over or happening. I have no idea.
Okay, it is. I believe it is still ongoing because I'm flying to Orlando this weekend to do an indoor football league game with Fitzy, which I guess is one of these summer and spring leagues that we have as like a feeder league for people trying to get into the football from unconventional routes.
Oh, no, this is a who's who. So the quarterback stats for the Houston Gamblers in 2026, Taulia Tagovailoa,
Okay.
John Reese Plumlee.
Yes.
We remember John Reese Plumlee, who had
Ole Miss?
Ole Miss to UCF. He played quarterback. He finished at UCF playing for Gus Malzahn. And then I think the Steelers scooped him up or something like that. But he is, or at least was at some point this year, a Gambler, as well as Hunter Deckers. Do you remember the name Hunter Deckers?
I don't.
We've talked about it on this show.
Have we?
Hunter Deckers was the quarterback of the Iowa State Cyclones when their gambling scandal happened. Not that long ago.
Yeah.
Like a couple years ago, a massive gambling scandal, underage gambling was really the issue for multiple Iowa State student athletes. And Hunter Deckers had to go to the JUCO level. He played one season at Iowa Western in 2024, went undrafted, and was picked up by the Saints. He is back on the Saints. So he was practice squad, cut from the practice squad, re-signed to the practice squad throughout the 2025 season, and then went to the Gamblers, which is just incredible, but was literally signed by the Saints maybe 2 weeks ago. That is the only precedent that we have for a quarterback involved in a gambling scandal. The NCAA basically held up for Hunter Deckers, which it obviously didn't in a Lubbock court for Brendan Sorsby. And the NFL said, no, you served your punishment. You had to go play JUCO football in 2024. He didn't go drafted, and he was signed by the Saints. No punishment or anything for Hunter Deckers.
So the UFL Sorsby has options to play football. Here's what I hope, okay? Because to your point about accountability, what I hope for him is that he actually gets help. And I think the way to do that, because the most offensive part of the whole Texas Tech thing, Lucas, because I really wasn't that angry at Texas Tech. If anything, I felt Texas Tech kind of got a raw deal, and Indiana and Cincinnati kind of skated here.
Yeah, a little bit.
From the ramifications of this and being villainized. Now, Texas Tech also has this, what's my guy's name, the billionaire booster?
Cody Campbell.
Oh, God. With the longest statement from somebody who's not actually in charge of anything I've ever seen when Sorsby was dismissed from Texas Tech. But you've got Cody Campbell, and you've got the coach of Texas Tech, whose name is Joey McGuire. So Joey McGuire gets up there at that booster luncheon or whatever event he was speaking at and said, basically to paraphrase, well, he didn't kill anybody. And the thing that will help him is to be around a football team and to have the support of his teammates and all these different things, which is basically saying that the cure for Brendan Sorsby's gambling addiction is football. That was the most offensive part to me. So what I hope for Brendan Sorsby is that he does take this as a lesson. And frankly, I think it would be best if he just took a step away from the sport for a period of time. Maybe there are some pitfalls to that you can't foresee, because then all of a sudden, who are you and what do you do if you're not a college football player, when that's been, I'm sure, a huge part of his life. But I think that he needs to remove himself from these situations for an extended amount of time and actually seek the treatment that he needs, as opposed to it being a little bit, is it okay to call it a little bit performative, his initial stint in rehab? I don't want to be cruel about it. I mean, it seems that he did it in reaction to Cincinnati, right? Like as opposed to seeking the help.
Yeah, that this was going to get out, and so let me go ahead and get out in front of this.
So yeah. I don't want to completely dismiss it, because I think there is some truth to it. But him doing it as a response, as opposed to being proactive, I think tells you a lot about the circumstance. And certainly the way the NFL views it.
Performative is his attorney saying that they're going to pursue action with the NFLPA, knowing damn well the NFLPA has nothing to do with Brendan Sorsby, and he has nothing to do with the NFLPA. That's what's performative, is Sorsby's attorney doing everything in his power to just keep this fight going however he can. And I'm shocked that somebody in Sorsby's corner isn't like, hey, man, maybe this isn't the fight to pick here.
No, but there's too many people financially invested in putting him on the field, Lucas. That's the problem with this stuff. There's too many things that are pulling at the multi-million-dollar 22-year-old.
I guess how is there nobody smart enough to say that he's not going to get on the field this year? It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to let him on the field this year unless he's making whatever Houston Gambler quarterbacks
Sure,
make.
but you have the courage of that conviction now, Lucas, but when your tone and everybody's tone was a lot different when he got granted this temporary.
We were all blindsided by it.
Right? Because that's the most unlikely thing of all time.
Right.
And it happened.
And the backlash was messy enough for him to say, okay, you know what? Nope, not worth it. Like that. I'm happy that the reaction, and credit to the Big 12 on this, who was willing to take legal action, was willing to stand up to the Attorney General of the state of Texas, and was pursuing federal action, federal legislation to say, no, you can't just continue to play football, because that would have been very damning on the Big 12 for a quarterback who gambled on his own team to just keep playing in that conference.
Another situation that has unfolded in the last week or so is Chaz Coleman. There's a recent report on VolQuest about the last couple of weeks of Chaz Coleman and his medical disqualification from the University of Tennessee. We'll get to that coming up next.
11:04. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. Earlier this morning, former Titans running back Chris Johnson sat down with Good Morning America host Michael Strahan and announced that he has been diagnosed with ALS. Johnson said he was diagnosed back in 2025. He will turn 41 this September. CJ2K's 10-year career included 6 seasons with the Titans. He was a 1,000-yard rusher in all 6 of those seasons, with that 2,000-yard season in 2009. CJ2K still holds the NFL record for yards from scrimmage in a single season with 2,509 yards. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome back to the show. The second hour underway. Robert, Lucas, and me. Look at there, Carrot Top back there. Robert must have taken a cigarette break. I waved in front of him a pack of cigarettes, lied to him, told him they were European cigarettes, and the temptation was just too great. Had to run out, have one himself. But we are with you, of course, as always, until 1 o'clock. Good to be back from a wonderful European vacation. Always good to get away. Good to, Lucas, you would stay on vacation for a lifetime, I feel like, if we let you.
If I could, I would just travel, like, all the time.
So I hate airports. I don't mind flying. Like, I'm not somebody who's afraid of flying. I hate airports, especially in the modern age.
Yeah, airports suck.
To fly right now, especially internationally, an unpleasant experience. When you get there, though, I don't think there's anything better than getting out of the country. And I was doing European observation. We're going to talk about Chaz Coleman here in just a second because that was a story that I missed this week that also has some additional follow-ups here to cover with the Tennessee former, do you even call him a VFL or VFL nah?
Hell nah. Yeah. I mean,
oh, come on, dude. Cut him a break,
so many
man.
so many memories.
Isn't he the highest paid player on the roster or something like that?
Yeah, not anymore.
So there is the Chaz Coleman. I want to talk about the Chaz Coleman thing here briefly, but among the several European observations that I had, some of which we did not get to in the first hour, is that Robert, I think, you're Irish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Painfully.
So
I'm neon white.
So there's no disputing that your European heritage is on display with the amount of cigarettes that you smoke because the Europeans outsmoke you. Most people bike around, at least where I was in Germany and in Spain, a lot of bike riding. And the amount of people smoking cigs while they ride their bikes around the various cities delighted me. So, Robert, I think at some point you need to take your first trip out of the country. International travel with Robert Walsh would be an experience, I'm certain.
I would love to see that.
In another country?
You will get to experience it in almost exactly a year.
Oh, my gosh. I can't wait.
I don't know if I want to go now.
No.
No, because we talked about these two Brazilian what's the
incidents?
Yeah. We talked about the two things that have happened in your fake country of origin?
Oh, it's a tragedy that happened the other day.
I don't want to make light of a person dying, but two people a woman literally got yeeted off a bridge because she was supposed to be, what do they call it, base jumping?
Like bungee jumping.
Bungee jumping?
Yeah. Yeah, it was tragic. They didn't attach the rope to her. It was like an off-market, not registered company, not real company.
Forgot to attach the bungee to the jumper.
That was
feels like we're
tragic.
forgetting something.
Too late now.
That was terrible. And then there was a helicopter crash where, forgive me,
Oliver Tree.
Oliver Tree passed away tragically. Yeah, I'm
a little worried about Brazil. I'm not gonna disparage a nation and its people like Saquon did by saying, you can't drink the water and the streets are unsafe.
An hour.
Lucas didn't even hear your joke. He's so focused on the soccer team plays in an hour. He said that's how that woman sounded.
Well, listen.
Oh, no. It's
Brazil.
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Awful. Shame on you, really.
Megan wants to go. Megan wants to go hang gliding in Rio. I'm like, nah.
No way.
I'm good.
No. So I'm sure your people or your fake people, because of course you are not an actual Brazilian, just cosplaying as one, are wonderful. Except the only proof that we have that Lucas has any Brazilian heritage whatsoever is his ass. It's really the only thing that we have to work with.
I'm excited for the beach.
But yes, we are that. So that's going to be your first international trip.
I've been
Lucas's
to Toronto. Toronto is now. You're going to say it doesn't count.
You're basically going. You're going to Chicago this weekend.
I am.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You have Chicago at home. You're going to Canada, Chicago.
No, it's not, Crody. It's way different up there. Way different. You're going to have to take that ting back, mans, before me and my Crodies roll on you for disparaging Canada like that.
You need to stop.
What does Crodies mean? Is that a bad word?
Again, maybe look these things up on the front end before you say them into a microphone to 2 million people.
Oh, crap. Yeah, don't use that word. No one say Crodies.
Okay, so Chaz Coleman ultimately gets dismissed from the Vols program for what is being qualified as a medical situation.
He is medically disqualified from the roster.
So, you, I'm sure, and Tennessee fans, I'm sure, are just happy to have closure. He's not completely removed from the program, it sounds like, though.
He's on scholarship, so that's the interesting thing. He has been medically disqualified. Here's the report from CBS's Chris Hummer, who, from what I saw, was the first to come out and sort of dive into why they medically disqualified him. He writes, the Vols have kept Coleman on scholarship, per a source, in an effort to support him that makes his immediate future as a football player somewhat murky. The transfer portal is closed, and the NCAA recently addressed the ghost transfer loophole that those like Xavier Lucas from Wisconsin to Miami took advantage of to transfer outside of the portal structure. So players that are saying, okay, I can't transfer and go play on scholarship for this other school, but you can't tell me that I can't enroll in that school and play as a walk-on. Right? So the NCAA, as powerless as it is, has tried to put blocks in for stuff like that. But the reporting is that Tennessee is keeping him on scholarship to still support him, to keep him around. He is not a part of the team. And honestly, he hasn't been since the first 2 weeks of spring ball. So the Nico thing was obviously a massive distraction to Tennessee football because that was their starting quarterback the entire previous season. They had just gone through an entire spring practice gearing up for another year, and then he dips, and it's a huge story. The Boo Carter thing was a huge distraction for Tennessee football because players are having to deal with it. This is their teammate that they've played with now for a couple of seasons. Players on Tennessee's roster, apart from Xavier Gilliam and Amari Campbell, who transferred from Penn State with Chaz Coleman, barely know Chaz Coleman. So I don't think it's really been a big distraction. He just hasn't been a part of things. And we've been talking about it because he's a super talented player. But according to the reporting from the likes of Pete Nakos and the VolQuest guys, it's been since like Memorial Day that everybody in that building has known, yeah, he's not going to be a part of things. But it sounds like it's a delicate situation, man. It sounds like he has not adjusted to life in Knoxville well. It sounds like there were lingering effects from the multiple concussions that he suffered last season at Penn State. And it's kind of a messy and murky situation, but he stays on scholarship. I don't know what that means for Chaz Coleman. If he still is living in Knoxville, what kind of support he's getting. All we know is, at least now that it's official, he will not play for Tennessee in 2026.
Robert, what you, this is unrelated to Chaz Coleman, but Robert, what you just sent in the group or sent a couple minutes ago, good for Mike Golick Jr., and they're bringing back Mike Golick to ESPN Radio.
Oh, nice.
Both of them, so father and son.
The show will be The Golicks.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's a cool, I saw people talking about with Linda Cohn's retirement last week. Did you guys touch on that at all?
Oh, we did not mention Linda Cohn retiring. Yeah.
Well, I don't know that she's outright retiring.
She's leaving sports.
She's leaving.
Yeah, she's not going to be in the desk anymore.
Yeah. She's, but I think she's no longer going to be at ESPN as well, which ends an incredible run for Linda Cohn, who has anchored the most sports centers of all time. So she's like, to me, the last vestiges of Sports Center the way that I remember it. And I don't want to discount what Sports Center is now because there are still incredibly talented people doing SportsCenter, but at a time of its highest resonance, Linda Cohn is one of the last people who was still doing it from like a golden era of SportsCenter. But yeah, that caught my attention. So I saw people talking about if you had one ESPN personality to bring back to the worldwide leader, who would it be? And I think a lot of people are happy to see Mike Golick back on ESPN.
Yes, very cool.
Do you have one?
Like who I think of?
Yeah, like obviously I think a lot of people would say Stuart Scott.
Yeah, Stuart Scott.
For me, I'm going to, well, do you have one before I get mine?
Honestly, SVP.
Are you still there?
You're saying of people that are no longer there.
Yeah.
I got one.
Who?
Neil Everett.
Neil Everett's great.
Dude, he just reminded me of like, I'm not big into church no more, but when I was a youngin', we went to church all the time. And he just reminded me of one of the guys that's like the usher in church. Like he's always cracking jokes, and then he'll do his little spot and then get done with it. And
I'm
be back
Catholic.
To
We don't
jokes.
crack jokes.
Yeah, not a lot of jokes being cracked in
Our
Catholic
church experience,
mass.
very different.
I love Kenny Mayne.
Oh,
Kenny Mayne, the man.
Like that deadpan, dry humor. Love Kenny Mayne.
I am going to go with, I don't know how many people would say this, but he, to me, is an institution. Bob Lee.
Yeah, about legend.
GOAT.
Legend.
I loved Outside the Lines. They were always doing really, really interesting work on Outside the Lines. But Bob Lee, also like a sneaky, funny guy, even though you think of him as serious journalist and all those things. Dan Patrick would be another popular submission. Anyway, 615-737-1045, the number if you want to jump in. Let's talk about the latest in the Brandon Ayuk saga, because I'd be curious to get people's opinions on how this affects the way that you view football players who start to have erratic behavior. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. So I mentioned that we were going to touch on the Brandon Ayuk saga, but it sounds like Lucas and Robert have covered that thoroughly. And if you want more, if you want to know how I feel about it, we're doing Fox Sports Radio. Did it this morning, me and Fitzy. We'll do it tomorrow morning and Friday morning, and we will talk more about Brandon Ayuk there. So I don't think there's anything that's super relevant here locally other than, a wide receiver seems to be losing his mind on the internet.
Strange behavior.
Very strange behavior, and it makes me think of Antonio Brown, but I don't know if that's something I should be doing, given Antonio Brown's situation.
When you do that show with Fitz, do you get to talk much about how his stuff's going? I've been seeing him do the Arena League football stuff, and he's been killing it.
He has done, Lucas, you tell me if this strikes you the way that it strikes me. He's never done play-by-play before, Fitzy. And so he has done indoor football league play-by-play this season for them, and it's their first. They've been around for 18 years. I had no idea. And it's their first time on a widely distributed platform. They're getting about 300,000 on average viewers on Yahoo Sports for these IFL games. Fitzy has done play-by-play since, I don't know, February. He has done 22 IFL games, which sounds to me like an outrageous amount of play-by-play. I feel like people I know that do play-by-play at ESPN, they maybe get like 6 or 7 games unless they're, Mike Breen or something like that, right? Unless you're one of the top-end broadcasters, you may not get that many games. He's doing like 3 seasons worth of football games, I feel like. And he's really enjoyed it. He ended up on SportsCenter Top 10, or his call ended up on SportsCenter Top 10. I'm flying down to Orlando actually this weekend to do sidelines for an IFL game with Fitzy. So we're looking forward to that. We have talked about it a lot, Robert, and he was saying he has, that's not a fine? That I'm going to Orlando to work? Okay. That's after I get back from Orlando. But Fitzy has really enjoyed it, it sounds like. And it's been, they call it the indoor war, the IFL. And him, Golick Jr. and Tice did a game the other day. And it seems like they're really enjoying it. So I'm looking forward to get down there and being a part of it. But like 22 games I think it's been even more recent than February. I feel like he's done a ton of play-by-play here recently. So yeah, we talk a little bit about it. The thing that I want to talk about, speaking of play-by-play, and Lucas, is your experience in Atlanta. Not at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, of course, but at Atlanta Stadium.
Yes, say it correctly.
I want to make sure that we
they
get
have
it right.
ears everywhere.
FIFA will be upon us. I know I got scared because on Fox is obviously broadcasting the tournament here nationally, and so we have live spots for the World Cup on Fox Sports Radio, but you can actually say the World Cup in ways that are bought and paid for many times over. If we did a sponsored World Cup segment, we would be shot in the street by FIFA. Your experience in Atlanta for Congo and Uzbekistan, which was not one of the better games, maybe on paper, necessarily going in, ended up having, it looked like, a pretty decent amount of entertainment value. I think the worst World Cup game I've seen so far was last night with Canada. It's not a very entertaining game.
It was tense. Canada found a late winner for the first time. They win a knockout round game. They're the first team into the round of 16. Looked like that was destined for extra time and maybe penalties. But yeah, they scratched it out. Honestly, Saturday in Atlanta, I think, was one of, if not the purest and most joyous sporting events I have ever been a part of. The vibes were unbelievable. It's Congo and Uzbekistan. For Uzbekistan, first ever appearance in a World Cup. For DR Congo, it's their second ever appearance in a World Cup. The first one came all the way back in the 70s when they weren't even the Democratic Republic of Congo. They were Zaire. So both fan bases were just thrilled to be there, you could tell, in the third and final group stage game. Uzbekistan was virtually eliminated. They were playing for pride in their first ever win at a World Cup. Congo needed a win to advance. A loss or a draw, not good enough. They needed a win. So Uzbekistan went up 1-0, and then Congo stormed back. They end up winning 3-1. The place was packed. It was insane. And really, anybody that lives near a World Cup host city, so for folks in Nashville, which, by the way, a guy I was with was wearing a Nashville SC jersey, tons of Nashville SC fans out there. I saw a bunch of NSC gear and hats and people shouting out his jersey. It was really cool. But if you live near a World Cup host city, go. Does not matter if you have a ticket. Just go. Go to the FIFA Fan Fest. Go experience, you will never see so many people from so many different places in the same place ever again. The vibe after the game in the FIFA Fan Fest area just outside of the stadium was immaculate. The dance parties, DR Congo fans celebrating their first ever advancement into the knockout round of a World Cup. You could not wipe the smile off my face. Just an unbelievable vibe. The joy that everybody was sort of sharing in that moment. Oh, it was so cool, man. It was so cool to be a small part of, to just witness. And the game was awesome, too. It was cool. I'd encourage anybody, Atlanta probably the closest for folks here, go to Atlanta. They're hosting knockout round games throughout this thing.
And so you and your buddy Jay, ironically enough.
Seriously?
No.
Yeah.
No. It's
Seriously.
It's his buddy Jay. It's Jay. There's pictures of you, not with seriously, but with Jay. You and Jay went to this game. And so Congo, was this their first time advancing to the knockouts? Did I do it?
Tom Pelissero is reporting. It's like the whole basis of what I was saying. Yes, it's the first time.
Sorry, I'm scared of the World Cup stuff, so I'm trying to make sure I'm buttoned up on it.
But it was cool. Yohan Wissa, the Congo striker who scored 2 goals in that crazy comeback, talked after the game about the situation back home. It's a war-torn country in DR Congo. So to see the joy that is so concentrated in one moment of being proud to represent your country and accomplishing something that the country's never done before, like, you can't even put it into words. It was awesome to experience.
So how, I don't want to say useless, but how unavailable are you about to be in 30 minutes from now?
Very. If this is round of 32 started yesterday with Canada beating South Africa. It continues today. Brazil is facing Japan in Houston. I will be in Brazil Friday morning. I cannot deal with this team getting eliminated before I even arrive there. Like, I won't even be able to.
About that.
They have to win this game. Not for me, but for the hopes of an entire nation. It would be disastrous, completely disastrous. And I hate that they're playing Japan because I've enjoyed watching Japan. They're good. They're a tough matchup, but they're also based in Nashville. So throughout the group stage, I was all in for Japan, man. Like, outside of the U.S., Nashville's team, they chose this town as their home for the World Cup, but not today. It's unfortunate.
So Brazil kicks off at noon, which means Lucas's time essentially with the show will end at noon today. And he's trying to have Robert and me go with him to a bar afterwards to watch the second half of the Brazil game. But that is why he is wearing his jersey and why he wanted Robert and me to both wear our Brazil jerseys today. We forgot.
It's okay.
I didn't forget. Mine's just a medium, and I would look like every 2005 player from the U.
Which I thought would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been great to see my belly hang out. Let everybody take a look at that. I'll fold it up for you if that's really what you're into.
No, that's okay. Just don't do that to the audience. Oh, God. What do you let it breathe?
But no, the knockout round resumes today. You got Brazil and Japan going head-to-head at noon. Coming up after that, Germany faces Paraguay, and then Netherlands plays Morocco in what is a really fun round of 32 matchup.
Okay, so I want to talk about the teams that have been eliminated or were, just playing with house money, essentially. Did you enjoy the fact that we had essentially meaningless games in the group stage? Because of the way that they've expanded the tournament.
Yeah, I don't love the new format. The first tiebreaker is head-to-head rather than goal differential. And of the 48 teams, only 16 get eliminated in the group stage. But the final games of group stage play were absolute thrillers.
They were fun.
Did you see what happened with Algeria and Austria?
Yes.
Like, both teams, all they needed was a draw, and they would both advance. And they're playing for a draw.
Yeah.
Boring game. And then suddenly it gets a little end-to-end. They start scoring. It's 2-2. And then you think, okay, surely they're just going to see it out. It's stoppage time. 90 minutes have been played. Algeria's just passing the ball around the back. And then they have a sequence where they go forward, they slip a ball in, and they score.
No.
3 minutes into stoppage time.
So it's a total Chargers-Raiders. Both teams can go to the playoffs if they tie.
Exactly. And you're thinking, you could both, like, just a little handshake agreement here. Algeria goes and scores. They're through. Austria's eliminated. And because of that result, Iran goes through to the knockout round.
Oh, I thought you were going to say close the straight again.
Well, yeah.
So
was it ever really open?
Yeah,
but Robert, moments after Algeria takes that shock lead, Here comes Austria the other way with a prayer of a ball lumped into the box, header, roof to the top of the net. Austria equalizes to stay alive, eliminating Iran on the last kick of the game, the last play of the game, I should say. It was a header. And they draw 3-3 in the most thrilling fashion possible. They both move on, and it's Iran who is left out because they would have been one of the third-place teams advancing had Algeria won.
I swear to God, it was the Peter Griffin meme all over again. We were just having a good time. What happened?
It was insane.
Well, it's good.
It was insane.
I'm glad that they tied, and Austria is not mad at Algeria because Austria, when spurned, can provoke a couple things, So
Woof.
glad that it worked out in everyone's favor.
Talking about being spurned, did you see what Uruguay did to their team?
Not my way.
So, well, first of all,
that would tickle me, man.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. First of all, that game against Spain, the biggest example of a team that they were losing 1-0, right? Uruguay had no way through. They knew they weren't advancing, so they just resorted completely to dark arts, kicking, complaining. What a shameful exit
Street fighting
to the World Cup. It was just pure bloodlust at that point. They weren't even trying to find an equalizer because they knew they were incapable of breaking down Spain. So the red cards and the scene at the end of the game was gross, man. And yes, then the Federation says, find your own way home.
They said, we are taking your charter away from you. You're flying commercial.
Shut up.
They're flying commercial back to Uruguay.
It was, but I'm telling you, Robert, within an hour of Scotland pooping themselves, I feel like their manager was gone.
No, he's fired, yeah.
It is a bloodbath as far, and then there's Pochettino.
Well, before you get to Poch, did you see what South Korea's president did?
Aren't they conducting like an internal review on how bad the team performed?
They're conducting it. The president called for an investigation into how South Korea had such a disappointing showing at the World Cup. They were upset by South Africa in the group stage to be eliminated.
Yeah.
And on South Korean cable television, when they were showing the press conference of the head coach, his face was blurred out like he was a criminal. It was insane. But the president publicly called for an investigation to figure out how the hell this happened.
And it's
incredible.
The fact that they blurred his face at a press conference.
His face out on TV.
Unbelievable. So Pochettino, okay? We came into this World Cup not thinking much of the United States' chances, and then they spanked Paraguay 4-1. And it gets everybody bought in, and then they beat Australia. And again, these are not dominant world powers in soccer right now. Bosnia will be their first real test, and you're probably a little shaky about that.
Bosnia's in the same vein as Australia and Paraguay.
Okay. So the U.S. advances. I had no idea about how little success we have had in the World Cup until somebody, I want to say one of the producers this morning on Fox read it to me and Fitzy. Pochettino is now tied for the most wins as a U.S. men's national team coach with 2.
Mm-hmm. In a World Cup. In a World Cup.
In a World Cup.
Yeah.
That's insane. Now, I understand that it is difficult to advance in the World Cup. Understandably so. But 2 being the record that he's currently tied with, he has the ability, if they beat Bosnia in the knockout round, he'll be the most winning coach in U.S. men's national team history.
In a World Cup. Yes. Yeah, because you got to think the best World Cup the men have ever had was 2002, hosted by South Korea and Japan. The U.S. made it to a quarterfinal. They won a game in the group stage. They drew 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, in the group stage, and then won in the round of 16 against Mexico to advance, where they fell in a tight game against Germany in the quarterfinal. So they made that run to the quarterfinal, but still only won 2 games in the process to get there. So, yeah, that's where we are. And the U.S. will be favored heavily against Bosnia if they can take care of business and move on to the round of 16. Technically, it will be their second ever win in a knockout round of a World Cup, but it will also just get them to the round of 16, which we have seen the U.S. reach. We saw it in 2022. We saw it in 2014, in 2010. So even if we beat Bosnia and Poch gets that third win in a World Cup, we're still back to the same place where we have been time and time again. And then the challenge will be getting over that hump to get to a quarterfinal again and beat a team that is likely going to be Belgium, the way it's looking right now, which is a much higher talent profile, which is one of these European not powerhouses, certainly not a favorite in this tournament, but the type of team you have to beat if you want to get to a quarterfinal. So everything the U.S. has done is all well and good, and the way they've done it has been incredible. But I hate to be this reductive. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they lose on Wednesday. Part of me wants to say it doesn't matter if they lose in the round of 16 against a team like Belgium. So the pressure's on. This is where the heat really starts.
Do you have soccer BVS?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
that's what your tone just indicated. It doesn't matter if they don't win. I get what you're saying, but like it rang to me of that that you're scared. I sense a little fear.
Oh yeah, yes. I'm sorry if I wasn't expressing that properly. Yes, I'm terrified. I'm terrified at what's about to happen in 22 minutes and what's about to happen on Wednesday night for the U.S. to take care of business, because it's true. If you lose Wednesday, nobody cares what you did against Paraguay and the beautiful flair that you were playing with and the win against Australia. It doesn't matter if you flop in the round of 32 at a World Cup that you're co-hosting, where one of your co-hosts is already through to the round of 16 in a historical moment for Canada. So, yeah, the pressure's on, man. Like, this is the pressure of the World Cup. It's an opportunity that comes around every 4 years. And this is where, like, yeah, you start to feel the sweat under your collar, and I'm terrified.
I look forward to hating Australia again on Friday because Egypt plays Australia in Dallas. So I need the Egyptian national team.
Great draw for Egypt.
To dispatch. I feel pretty, based on everything that I now know about Australia, having I actually saw the Australian national team play a friendly against England the last time the Titans played in London. The Titans played the Ravens in London in 23, and me and Kaharski went to an international friendly between the English national team and the Australian. So,
but if you win, you will get Argentina. Unless Cabo Verde can just do the literal unthinkable, which they've been an incredible story in this World Cup.
Is it Cabo? It's Cape Verde, right?
Cape Verde, Cabo Verde is how it's called over there. But
I feel like that's a fine.
Argentina has a path, man, back to another semifinal and potentially final, where if they can take care of business in the round of 32, they'll get Australia or Egypt, where they will be heavily favored. The best team they could then get in the quarterfinal would be Colombia, where they will be heavily favored. And then to the semifinal, where they could play Brazil and England. But Argentina's path is laid out for Lionel Messi to just continue to make history, which is what he's been doing.
And Colombia no longer killing their players for own goals. So happy to see that.
How are they being punished now?
We'll see. None of them have scored an own goal yet.
Switches.
my dad used to say the beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yeah. Did morale improve?
It never did.
615-737-1045. The Bills will not have O.J. Simpson displayed in their new stadium. I'm going to tell you why I disagree with that coming up next. You might get the funk, but you're not getting O.J. Simpson's jersey being honored in the new Bills Stadium. So they have decided that honoring O.J. Simpson, who has since passed on and is one of the most controversial figures ever in sports for the time and the crimes that were committed by O.J., not the things that he went to prison for, ironically enough. O.J. Simpson's not somebody that you say rest in peace about, right? Like, it's not cruel to not wish O.J. well in another life after his entire, ordeal.
Hello, heaven world.
Yours truly.
Yeah, what a time that was.
Just an unbelievable human being, and both in a good way, athletically, and in the worst possible way, an unbelievably awful human being. But I don't think I agree with the Bills' decision to not display him in their new stadium. And you two tell me if I'm off base about this, because this feels like a position that I would normally be against. Like, I would normally, I feel like, say, yeah, the murderer, maybe you keep him out of your Ring of Honor, after he passes on, and nobody's going to really put up a fight about O.J. Simpson not being in the stadium, right? Like, no, there's not a person out there.
It's an easy position.
Screaming and shouting. But O.J. Simpson, in football history, has a huge place of consequence. I don't want to say that I am willing to put aside the things that O.J. did to remember the football player that O.J. was, but in the same vein as we talk about, obviously we've talked about the Chris Johnson diagnosis today and his upcoming fight with ALS, the fight that he's been having for the last year since he's been diagnosed. And if you have not heard the news about that, we are going to play for you a portion of the Good Morning America interview with Chris Johnson, CJ2K, at noon today. But I think I disagree with not remembering your football legends for the football things. I think O.J. Simpson should be in that stadium. You don't get a huge percentage of Bills history without O.J.
Yeah, I don't care. I completely understand this from the Buffalo Bills.
It gets into it. Now, I'm not saying I don't understand it, Lucas, but I don't like, and this is not normally a position I would take, because I know there's some people that would say some things about, like, Confederate monuments and stuff like that being needed to be upheld to remember our history, as if that's a part of our history that needs to be commemorated. But I for some reason, feel this way about O.J., and I don't like the idea of erasure just because it's convenient for you, if that makes sense.
There's a situation that's really similar to this in WWE professional wrestling. Are you guys familiar with Chris Benoit?
I've heard the name before, but I would be ignorant.
Prolific wrestler, wrestled all through the 80s, 90s, 2000s, was a huge part in the SmackDown era of WWE. But in 2007 or 8, somewhere in there, he was involved in a horrible double murder suicide where he killed his wife, Nancy, his son, and then himself. And Chris, was a prolific wrestler, but they won't put him in the WWE Hall of Fame because they are not going to separate. As good of a wrestler as he was, the tragic situation that he was a part of overwhelms the moments he had in professional wrestling. So while I agree with you that you can't wipe away history, I understand the Bills' notion to not include him in the is it signage, imaging, around
so
it?
They, like many other NFL stadiums, and Robert, I'm telling you, did you do Highmark when you were on the road for a year?
Yeah.
So old Highmark, I don't know if the new stadium is new Highmark like the Titans deal. But old Highmark, when you walk, there's only one tunnel, right? Famously, because teams get in fights in that one tunnel. Both teams have to enter and exit the playing surface from the same tunnel. When you walk out of that one tunnel, Robert, one of the first, right smack in the middle of their Ring of Honor, visibly, when you walk out of that tunnel onto the field, is O.J. Simpson's number and name commemorated. And I remember, because Jim Wyatt is like a lifelong Bills fan. For some reason. I can't remember his exact explanation, but Jimmy was telling me about his Bills fandom the first time that we did a trip to Buffalo. And I remember looking up at the Ring of Honor, and you see a lot of famous names, of course, because the Bills have a long and storied history of success, and there's O.J. And you see that name, and that name strikes you every time, not both literally and metaphorically. it strikes you when you see it because of everything that you associate with the name. So I get why they're doing it. I don't know. The description of it not being a fit for the new ethos that they're going for, it's not a hill that I'm willing to die on, right? But I don't know. I feel like O.J. Simpson's place in history, you don't tell the Buffalo Bills history without some conversation about O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, but everybody still remembers that he was a Bill. It's not like that just eliminates.
Right now, but will there be generations of Bills fans? Will they have completely erased? Will they have completely detached from O.J. Simpson? I'm not saying that they shouldn't, by the way. I'm not making the argument that O.J.'s a great guy or something like that. That's not what I'm saying. I just don't like the ideas of teams writing their own history or getting to rewrite their own history when he's very much a part of their history.
I don't know, man. I think as teams get to pick and choose the former players, coaches, whatever, that they celebrate and that they immortalize, right? It is their prerogative.
Yep.
So for me, it makes sense for that to work the other way too, that they get to pick and choose who they leave out of those type of things.
It's
because
a fair argument.
That's not like them saying this didn't happen.
And dishonor them when they have done dishonorable things.
That's his name coming down from a place that immortalizes the greats of the organization's history. So, yeah, I'm not going to necessarily fault them for it.
It's like
it's an easy position for Buffalo to take.
Yes, and not an incorrect one, by the way. That's just the way that it struck me when I saw the news initially. It's somebody points out Hollywood is full of creepiness and murderers, says Emmett on YouTube. It would be like going through the Hollywood Star Walk and being like, yeah, all these people that have been commemorated or celebrated for being famous, essentially, there's a lot of problematic figures on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We could probably do without some of those. Anyway, 615-737-1045, the number if you want to jump in. Lucas is going to check out, basically, for the noon hour because Brazil kicks off against Japan at noon. As far as just for some reason, there's a lot of Bills Stadium news. They're getting ready, obviously, to play their first season in this new stadium. Lucas, I mentioned to you before the show started today that the going rate for the Bills' first game in their new stadium is $700 on the secondary market.
Yeah.
To get in. I don't think we're going to have that problem here in Nashville because not to disparage the Titans, but the Bills are obviously a team that people will fill the new stadium.
It's one of the best fan bases in the country.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to...
In the NFL,
I'm not trying to poop on Titans fans by saying the Bills are great, but I just don't feel like that's going to be a problem necessarily in the new Nissan that way, unless they're good by the time 27 starts. Bills fans having to pay $700 to see their football team is outrageous. It's outrageous.
Well, the season ticket members don't have to. So,
but you have to purchase my understanding of this is you purchase a PSL to then purchase the seat, right? That's the way that it works?
Right, but the $700 is the secondary market. So that's what everyone who's already acquired the tickets.
That's not what it costs face value. Because I think the Bills are getting a lot of heat for this, and it's really out of the Bills' hands. The face value of the ticket is not what is being sold on the secondary market, but I feel like Bills fans are lashing out at their team, not understanding that, no, it's Ticketmaster's fault. Or it's the people who have bought these tickets and who are now trying to sell them back to you's fault.
There is an update on Terrion Arnold's legal situation.
Another thing that I missed last week.
Mm-hmm.
We can't squeeze it into these last 15 seconds that we have here. So we will get to that in just a second. We will also keep you updated on World Cup power rankings. Hang around. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. All right. Well, when I brought up the O.J. Simpson thing, I did not think it was going to devolve our YouTube comment section into a civil war. So, just thought it was interesting that O.J. Simpson was not going to be honored in the new Bills Stadium. That's all well and good. Welcome back to the final hour. You can live stream the show if you're brave enough today on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. By the way, I do recommend it simply for the 1220 segment. We are going to play a portion of the Chris Johnson Good Morning America interview. If you did not see the news today, the legendary Titans running back was diagnosed over a year ago with ALS. Normally I would not, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. Normally I would not say it's a good thing for a story to be kept under wraps for a year from when the initial situation happened. But I think it's a credit to people really protecting Chris Johnson and his family that this did not come out at some point in the last year, Lucas. That's kind of an insane thing in the modern age.
It actually is to keep that under wraps. I feel like that has been the case. I don't know that I knew, and Chris said in the interview that Eric Dane, the actor that tragically recently passed away, Grey's Anatomy star, that had ALS, wasn't it pretty under wraps that he had it?
Sorry, I was on the phone.
Eric Dane, the actor?
We didn't learn about it until recently, within the last calendar year. But he was doing Euphoria, and that was the last big project that he was a part of.
Yeah. He announced it in April of 2025, and he announced it 18 months after he was diagnosed. And CJ was diagnosed at some point in 2025. We don't know when exactly. He was on with 3HL at Radio Row at the Super Bowl in 2025. So it is insane that it didn't get out, but I suppose that's a good thing for CJ to be able to do it on his own terms.
Let him. News is news, but that's a very, very tricky story. I was surprised that somebody was not reporting on that at some point in the last year, that nobody in the NFL had that information.
One of the cool things on Twitter today, the Titans have been retweeting them, all of the different league pages. Wishing Chris Johnson love and support on his journey is really cool. Teams he never played for.
Yeah.
The Falcons, I believe the Jaguars put one out there, and then the Cardinals, the Jets, just teams talking about how much he meant to the league and how awful this story is. It's really cool when something like this happens and it can bring everybody together from different fandoms to appreciate the athlete he was and the journey he's got to go on now.
Yeah, and you'll hear his message later on. Like I mentioned, we're going to play a portion of that Good Morning America interview on the live stream. So I think if, not to discourage people from listening on FM radio, and if that's the only way that you can consume us today, all well and good. But I would at some point, whether you watch it on our YouTube stream here in about 20 minutes or on Good Morning America's social media channels, of course, they have the full interview posted. I hesitate to say recommend you go watch this, but I would invite you to go watch this clip simply to see how jarring it is, the difference in the human being that you know to be Chris Johnson and the person that's sitting in front of Michael Strahan in that interview, because they do not resemble one another, but Chris Johnson's message on that front is very important. So we'll hear from him here in a second. Lucas is going to be completely checked out from the show because Brazil has started their game against Japan.
Yep, 5.5 minutes in.
Okay, so I will expect to reconvene with you at some point tomorrow. You'll keep us updated. I'm sure there will be grunts and squeals and screams potentially throughout the course of the show. Don't be concerned. It's just Lucas watching a soccer game. So at some point you may hear the words, kill him. It's okay.
No, that's typically just a football thing.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Although who was it that took out Ronaldo? Ronaldo went for that bicycle kick the other day, and dude just ran through him. We don't talk about soccer. In fact, we make fun of soccer for being a little bit dainty in the way that some of these guys flop. I don't know. I've seen some collisions out there on the field this year.
Yeah, it's been a physical tournament for sure. And Ronaldo gets it from every angle, not just on the field, but he has been dragged across the face of the earth in this tournament into public eye, too.
So, with everything that we have talked about so far today, and we will get back to the Chris Johnson story here in just a second, the Terrion Arnold story is something that came out or had more recent developments last week. So a Hillsborough County judge, which is in Florida, found probable cause for Terrion Arnold to face charges of armed robbery and kidnapping But they have also, since then, Lucas said that the update, or has told us that there's an update on this. The judge has also denied the prosecutor's motion for the Detroit Lions quarterback to be held without bond on Monday. So the bond was set for $1 million with the following conditions. He's not allowed contact with the 6 co-defendants or the witnesses in this case. He must surrender his passport within 48 hours of this ruling. So, because he is considered a flight risk with his resources, he has also been granted the most recent update about 20 minutes ago. He has also been granted bond after a judge denied the state's request to keep him jailed until the trial. And so the bond, as I mentioned, was set at $1 million. Part of the conditions: Arnold cannot have any contact with co-defendants or witnesses, which we mentioned, must surrender his passport, which we mentioned, and must remain at home or work. So he is allowed to go to work, which for him would be the Detroit Lions practice facility. He will not be required to wear an ankle monitor. So how did you guys talk about this last week when it came out? Because to me, I saw this just briefly and said, I don't know if that guy's going to play football. Well, but I also said that about James Pierce, and here James Pierce is getting ready to play football.
Well, we just talked about the insanity of the story. Like, this is a Netflix documentary type of situation where Terrion Arnold was robbed. He had over $250,000 worth of property stolen from him at an Airbnb, but he took matters into his own hands. And I don't know if it was hired people or just associates that he had to track down people that he thought committed the crime, lure them into an apartment and assault them, pistol whip them. And he was not present for this, but he was on FaceTime. This is all allegedly part of the investigation, and was instructing the attackers, for lack of a better word, on what to do. Problem is, the people that they lured into the apartment were not responsible for the theft of over $250,000 of Terrion Arnold. So it's just been an insane story. The Lions haven't said that I've seen anything other than they're aware of the situation. They're declining to comment out of respect for the ongoing legal process. So part of what you just said, he is only allowed to be at home or at work. I would imagine that Terrion Arnold won't just be on the field during training camp. I'm not sure when his trial date is, but we'll see what the corresponding move is from Detroit.
Yeah, it's a convoluted story there. I don't know what goes through somebody's head, and I wouldn't pretend to put myself in Terrion Arnold's position, because if somebody stole what you said, $250,000 worth of stuff from me, I would also be pissed. Now, I just wish he had the presence of mind to understand how much is at risk for him when he decides to go vigilante justice and pistol whips the people that robbed him.
It's crazy. It's a crazy story. Like, if you look into the details,
gunpoint.
It's insane. It's kidnapping. He faces the charges that he's facing could amount to a life sentence. We're talking about kidnapping, armed robbery, and conspiracy.
He's 23 years old. I'm not saying that I feel a great amount of sympathy for him, because what he did was obviously wrong, and the way that he tried to rectify his own, what's the famous saying, 2 wrongs don't make a right.
But 2 rights make an airplane.
Nice.
Thank you for
it's a North Carolina joke.
Okay.
First in flight, baby. You can't claim them, Ohio.
You know why I know that? Because you still have North Carolina license plates. You lived here for how long?
Shut up. They already pulled me over once and made me get a Tennessee license. I don't want them to make me get a Tennessee license plate.
I got a ticket one time because I had a Tennessee, did I have a Tennessee license but not Tennessee plates? I think I got a ticket for that. Terrible.
I always just say it's my mammy's car. It's my mama's car.
It's crazy.
So your mom gets a ticket in the mail?
When you see stories like this about guys that have never, at least in the public eye, been anything but like upstanding citizens, good teammates. The thing that I remember most about Terrion Arnold at Alabama, and he was a great player, first-round draft pick, All-American, all these things, but was his relationship with Miss Terry. It was highly covered that Miss Terry was like a second mother to Terrion Arnold, that he described her as his best friend one time. Terrion Arnold, very close relationship with Nick Saban's wife and the leader of that Alabama football team. one of these stories where you're just looking at it like, really? Like that dude?
Well, that's the thing, though. And this is ever since Deshaun Watson, and that's obviously an extreme case, right? But this is not.
I mean, they're both pretty extreme in their own way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not trying to, whataboutism like this is worse than that, right? They're both bad things that two individuals did. But ever since Deshaun Watson, the thing that really resonates with me is you don't actually know these guys. You know what I'm saying? I think even when you do know a person, like I'll use this example just because it's a story that we've talked about a lot, and I don't want to relitigate everything about it. But I think the Mike Vrabel story is another example of this. The Diana component of it is an example of this. And Diana's a friend of mine, but I'm not going to pretend like I knew that there was a 6-year relationship that probably should not have existed with the coach that I was covering at the time. That's something that, everybody has skeletons, but that's a pretty big one, right? And obviously there's been a lot of stuff that's true about that. There's been a lot of stuff that's been falsely put out there.
Yeah, about that. That rumor had been out there.
Yes.
Right? Like it's one of those things that you thought, like, oh, that rumor was true.
But not something that I don't know.
Nobody had like this substantive, nobody had that sort of evidence to sit there and say, yeah, I know for a fact this is happening, although some people say they did and have been out there very loudly acting like they did. And
will probably face legal ramification about that at some point in time, I would imagine in the not too distant future. So head on a swivel for those of you who have been recklessly speculating about anything. But Terrion Arnold, Deshaun Watson, these things where we associate a certain amount of characteristics to people that we see in the public eye, right? Without actually knowing what the hell goes on in these people's lives and who these people are actually at night. Because Deshaun Watson, not who you thought he was when he was pillar of the community in Houston. Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy story. We are going to, so people have called in with commentary on Chris Johnson's situation and potentially their own personal experiences with the disease of ALS. Before we do take some of those phone calls, and I do want to take those phone calls, I would like to play a portion of Chris Johnson's interview this morning with Good Morning America, disclosing his situation about his diagnosis with ALS. And we are going to show a portion of that interview on YouTube for those of you who have not yet seen the position that this disease has put Chris Johnson in and what he's doing to fight against it. We'll do that coming up next. 615-737-1045 is the number. I'm Buck Rising. Something is happening with Brazil because Lucas is holding his face.
Nothing. Japan's lining up for a free kick.
That's 1045 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, we have World Cup action on. It's Lucas's Brazil against Japan. How are things matching up right now?
Just feeling it out. Brazil kind of probing, have the majority of possession, which will be expected in this game. Not yet. Got to keep our powder dry.
Okay. Well, if you're watching on Zone TV, not just because we're going to play a portion of this Chris Johnson interview on Good Morning America for you, you can not even have to watch the soccer game. You can simply watch our live stream and see Lucas's facial expressions and understand what is happening in the Brazil-Japan game at any given point. So, the announcement today, and Chris Johnson choosing to do this on his own terms, did an interview with Michael Strahan on Good Morning America. And it was an update regarding his health. And the update has since been that he has been dealing with a diagnosis of ALS for a year. And what it has done to his body in just a year's time it's frankly shocking, especially when you know the way that Chris Johnson became famous is because of his incredible athletic accomplishments. If you have not seen the clips on Good Morning America social media channels or the interview itself on television, you can seek out both of those in full on their various social media channels. But I wanted our audience, if they haven't seen it, to see this portion of it via our live stream today, because I almost dropped my phone when I saw what he looked like now versus the person that I associate Chris Johnson to be. This is courtesy of Good Morning America earlier today.
He is sharing something deeply personal.
You've chosen to share some personal news today, and it takes a tremendous amount of courage to share it. What would you like for people to know?
First, I want people to know that I'm still me. ALS has changed what my body can do, but it hasn't changed who I am.
In 2025, at the age of 39, Johnson was diagnosed with ALS. The disease progressing so rapidly that he now uses his eyes to trigger a speech-generating device to speak.
Why do you want to share this now?
Because if sharing my story helps even one person get diagnosed sooner, inspires more research, or gives another family hope, then it's worth it.
Johnson said.
So the interview continues at some length. The full piece is about 7 minutes long. I can't believe how quickly it has done that to him, Lucas, because we mentioned Tim Shaw, obviously a former Titans player himself, a former teammate of Chris Johnson's, many teammates, people who have been in Chris Johnson's life through the Titans organization, through ECU, through just NFL and sports in general, have shared messages of support and to some extent condolences, of course, for Chris Johnson's situation. To see the visual of him after you mentioned, I mean, we had him on the show less than a year ago, it feels like. Maybe it's been about a year since we've had Chris Johnson on, so it would have been right around, or at least close to the time of his actual diagnosis. To see Tim Shaw out there and how much time it took for Tim to be in the situation that he's in, where his body, he's a prisoner in his body. That is what this disease does to you. Your mind is intact. Your body is inoperable to an extent. And the way that Chris Johnson and Tim Shaw and others who have been diagnosed with ALS end up having to communicate is through their eyes and a computer program that recognizes their eyes and produces words for them through this program. Chris Johnson's, the difference in Chris Johnson's situation, I'm sure at least in modern ALS diagnoses, is that the AI that they use in this computer program can also recreate the person's voice. So it sounds like Chris Johnson, which is different from generations past who have dealt with this, which can ease some of the sting of this, and I'm sure some of the trauma for the individual with the diagnosis of not just losing your ability to operate your body, but also outright losing your voice and hearing somebody else's voice speak on your behalf. So at least Chris has that component of it. It was jarring to see just how quickly his case has progressed. And also to hear the strength in his message of, I'm still here.
Yeah, I mean, he said you don't know if you ever really process it, right? That you're kind of in shock, and then Chris Johnson said you have two choices. You can give up or you can fight. So he's going to choose to fight. Not surprising. And it's been cool to see the entire sports world coming together. I mean, every major sports figure you can think of has come out. I mean, I'm looking now at social media posts from Ric Flair, Chad Johnson, on and on it goes. Everybody knows CJ2K, man. Again, he's 40 years old. He is a young man.
So his message goes on to say that ALS, like many disease research programs, ALS research is underfunded, and you can donate on behalf of CJ2K. The website, I will tweet from my account as well, and we can potentially put it in the YouTube chat, Robert. It's als.org for people who want to contribute. I've seen many people contributing donation amounts of $28 to signify or to represent Chris Johnson. So any additional, if you are in a position to donate to an incredible cause to battle a diabolical disease, I know that is the way that he wants people who cannot directly support him or who are not directly supporting him in his own life to support his cause and his fight, and the fight on behalf of all of those who are dealing with ALS, because it's not just public figures like Tim Shaw and Chris Johnson who have battled this disease and will do so publicly, but people who suffer in a much different kind of silence in ways that I can't imagine. So thinking about Chris and, of course, his family today, and appreciate the strength of his message and being willing to share it. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to weigh in. D is in Gallatin up next.
Hey, good afternoon, you guys.
Oh, the call dropped. I don't know if that was...
Call back, D.
Yeah, sorry, D. I apologize. Please call us right back, and we'd be happy to take your call. For some reason, the call dropped because I know that was an ALS-related phone call. So beyond that, in and of itself, we have read the Titans' statement on behalf of Amy Adams Strunk, obviously the statement of the organization offering Chris and his family and his loved ones support in a time where they are battling or getting ready for this battle themselves. I know, having talked to a number of people, a number of his teammates, several of his teammates appear on this show on a regular basis. Brett Kern, Nate Washington, two of the individuals who have expressed their message of support for Chris. I have talked to a number of different people about his relationship with Derrick Henry over the years, and Derrick's relationship with all of these legendary running backs that have come through this franchise. I saw Derrick's message of support on social media. A lot of those pictures posted. I mentioned the picture of Derrick and Chris Johnson in the winning Titans locker room after the Baltimore Ravens game to advance to the AFC Championship. So that would have been 2019, technically 2020, the year, but the 2019 postseason, and just how much that means to Derrick Henry. So the ripple effects of this are, one, hyper-local, but also, two, on a national scale, because this is one of the most famous running backs in the history of that sport.
I mean, you could make a real argument that CJ2K is the most electrifying player in Titans history, right? I mean, it's him and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, because Eddie is not that, right? Eddie is an accomplished running back. He's a legendary running back.
Eddie was just a grinder, just wear teams down. But when you talk about just that moment where an entire stadium like loses their breath for a second as they're standing up, it's CJ and Henry. And CJ, the speed, the sheer blinding speed and pace, I think, gives him that nod for a lot of people. Derrick, absolutely, in his own way. And when you talk about, like, Hall of Fame resumes, like, it's Derrick Henry. But pure electricity was watching CJ2K just pull away from entire defenses.
So on that note, we will continue to keep you updated on CJ's condition as information becomes available. But in the meantime, he's fighting this battle publicly. And, of course, we're all here to support him in that battle. ESPN put out World Cup power rankings, Lucas. And I wonder, when you came into this, when you were getting ready for this tournament, did Japan score?
Yeah. It's 1-0 Japan.
You handled that very, very bravely. No.
I thought you said they scored.
Japan did.
Oh. Sorry.
You did that on purpose.
No, I didn't. I thought that you said they scored.
This midfield's going to cost them. It's going to cost them this
Don't
tournament.
say that, buddy. There's how much time's left? There's so much time
30-second
left.
minute. Yeah.
30-second minute.
It is the 32nd.
Oh.
32.
This is like when your grandpa's going through something and you don't really know how to relate
You
to
okay?
him.
I feel like we're not okay as a show today. I feel like we have had several moments where we're just not listening to each other, which may be just normal show, and it's been a week, so I'm not used to that. But like, we good?
What did you say?
I am not okay.
I'm surprised you didn't shriek.
Well, out of respect for a sensitive topic.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Tora Tora Tora? It's about the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor. There's a iconic phrase from that movie after the attack happens that says they may have awoke a sleeping giant. Someone in the chat just said that. Maybe they just woke you guys up, dude. Maybe you just got woke up.
They better wake up.
When Lucas calls out tomorrow.
There's a level of tension in this studio that we've never quite had before.
I believe in you, and I believe in Brazil, and they are going to figure this out.
Well, no, clearly we didn't because he asked us to wear our Brazil jerseys today, and we...
Don't say that because if he's superstitious, then he's going to say that we were part of the problem.
I'm not superstitious. You're good.
Maybe a little stitious.
This ancient midfield is the problem.
How has this World Cup held up to your expectations now that we're through the knockout stage?
Honestly, it's shattered my expectations.
Shattered your
in
expectations.
terms of the vibes of it all. I kind of had this nervous energy, this nervous excitement coming in, not just because of the opportunity that it is on the field, but just the opportunity that it is in this country for people to come together with this sport. So much has built up to this moment. 8 years of this moment in U.S. soccer is going to be so huge, such a pivotal moment in the 2026 World Cup. And I feel like it's been that. It's crazy. 3HL had me on last week, and Don said, Lucas, I like soccer. And I was like, oh, if we've got Don on board, like we can get anybody.
That's not. I think she said that to be nice to you because she was complaining to me. I'm going to betray a confidence of Dawn, and she can come after me at a later date. But she was complaining very heavily about having to talk about soccer at Titans practice the other day. So.
Well, but that was before you left, and then the World Cup started, and it got going, and everybody realized how beautiful this thing is.
It is beautiful.
The results on the field have been awesome. We are spoiled. Robert asked me the other week, are we spoiled what we're seeing with Messi and Mbappe? And
I don't remember star power like this, like them all showing up in a big way. I was talking about this with our buddy Garrett Hargis over the weekend, and just the Holland stepping up, and Mbappe and Ronaldo meeting the bell in that second game after coming under heavy criticism. Obviously, we don't have to say anything about Messi. Messi has been arguably the best player in this tournament, depending on what metrics you want to judge that by.
Yeah, it's him and Mbappe right now.
Right. So, and just to see, one, I'm glad that the U.S. got people in the way that they did to keep people's attention. Now, the objective is to beat a team that they are favored against in Bosnia, and to keep that people's attention through the round of 32. We do have D back because we got disconnected, and he had some commentary on the Chris Johnson ALS situation. D, I apologize if that was on our end. We appreciate you calling back. Go ahead.
You guys, thanks for having me back on. I just wanted to comment on the Chris Johnson situation. My father, he passed away from ALS in 2014. It's a super aggressive disease that leaves you weaker than you were the day before. It's so depressing and so sad. I can only imagine what they're going through as well, because the brain is still responsive, just the things around it is not. It took my father out in about 15 months, so Chris is already a year diagnosed. So he looked to me to be in at least the middle to close to third type stages, if you asked me. I'm not a doctor or anything, but I want the Titans organization to do something great for him next season, early on, for everybody. That's all I got, you guys. Thanks.
Thank you for the call, and we of course are sorry for your father's situation, and I can't imagine how difficult that is. Not just on obviously the person who gets the diagnosis, but that is a devastating diagnosis to receive for a family. And a lot of, at least that would be most people's normal reaction, right? I'm sure it's completely understandable to get just overwhelmed by the initial news of that. And then at some point you have to find ways to compartmentalize for the person that is dealing with the diagnosis and be like, okay, deep breath. There are ways to make this as viable as humanly possible with the science that's available. But again, ALS.org, you can donate on behalf of Chris Johnson or Tim Shaw or anybody in your life who has battled this disease. They are, as so many different organizations who are trying to do important research on diseases are underfunded. ALS.org is where you can get more information about this.
I mean, it's another reminder. Feels like we get these all the time to be grateful for what you have and who you have in your life. And
just health, man, the importance of health and how quickly it turned for Mac. And I mean, a year is in the span of a human life, a year is nothing.
Yeah. Well, and the emotional capacity for somebody for anybody, but also somebody like Chris Johnson, who was essentially a real life superhero, right? Like the ability that he had was a superpower. We had never seen anything quite like it in the NFL. So to have the mental capacity to wrap your head around going from that to understanding that your body's going to break down. That's just what's going to happen with this horrible disease. None of us can really fathom what that must be like. So it was cool to see CJ's message of strength today, knowing that everybody's watching, people that love him, people that he has brought so much joy to over the years. You just can't even begin to wrap your head around, recognizing that moment. And like he said, he still probably hasn't fully processed it.
Yeah, and what the Titans may or have done for him so far or plan to do for him at some point, there are many people in that organization. A lot of people who have been with that organization for a long time are gone, but there are still good people who are in that organization who care about Chris and who will make sure that he is properly supported and commemorated. Again, we're trying to avoid having a show that sounds like a eulogy today around Chris Johnson because, again, if you listen to his message, he is saying, I am still here. The importance of that, the strength in that, the fight in that. I am still here. I may be less, but I am still here. So as opposed to, treating this like, remembering Chris Johnson today or Chris Johnson memories or things like that, I think it's more important to focus on what he's saying as opposed to the way that he looks, even though the way that he looks will shock you. Understanding the memories that people do have of Chris Johnson. I will get an update on what's going on in the World Cup and also some Bosnian bulletin board material ahead of the U.S.'s match against Bosnia in the knockout stage that is coming your way later this week. And I also want to yell and scream about what's going on with the Nashville Zoo because I'm very upset about that. I know Robert and Lucas are too. So we will get to all of those things coming up next. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. You want to give us an update?
Not great, Bob. 1-0 Japan. Brazil's going to have to figure out a way to break them down.
Well, we will see. Lucas will be sweating it out at tailgate for any of you who are interested in taking in the Brazil-Japan match in the second half after the show concludes. Here in just a second. I, unfortunately, have things to do. Otherwise, I would go with you. But, Robert, are you going to go watch the game with him and watch him suffer in silence, or maybe not in silence?
I may have to go there to be his positive outlook.
I do need it.
It's like you after a Ravens loss. We're here to support you.
Well, see, no, that's the thing. I need you to tell me how you would like to be handled, because I don't want to be talked to at all. I would much rather just be in a dark room where the only light is the glowing ember of my cigarette cherry as I toss and turn in a bowl full of water.
Yeah, I'm not going to be like chipper and, trying to create conversation. But I would appreciate any emotional support.
I'll be there for you, buddy.
Thank you.
I have to come back here, but I'll be there for you.
Oh, God. I want to talk about this zoo story. Have you guys gotten into this at all?
Yeah, it has definitely been talked about.
No, but you told me the newest entry into the disappointing part about this data center.
Lucas, you may have seen this. So the news, if you're not aware, I'm sure you are because it's been nationally covered.
Oh, yeah.
Data centers are a popular, well, not popular, they are a political buzzword right now, or buzz phrase, because in the digital age, and especially in the age of AI, we are needing places to process information and data, places to house the computers that do so. These computers require a vast amount of resources, apparently fresh water. Much like a human being, they are requiring vast amounts of fresh water to cool the necessary equipment at these data centers. There are environmental repercussions of the data centers, noise pollution, actual pollution, water pollution associated with data centers. Yes, there are positive things associated with technological advancements, but there are also less than positive things and things that should have to be taken into account. So, you know the story, I'm sure, of the zoo fighting this fight because there's an industrial park that has not housed any companies for a period of time, and a company called DC Blocks is trying to buy the land and build a data center, essentially a football field away from the zoo, maybe not even. And so the zoo has fought back against this because there are negative effects, harmful effects on the animals, just simply for the sound, beyond the wastewater pollution that these things produce, and also neighborhood, like it affects on the people who live in the neighborhood around the zoo, neighborhoods around the zoo, and so they're fighting this. There was a lawyer for the company DC Blocks. Have you seen this clip making the rounds?
No.
So there's this lawyer who's arguing on behalf of the company DC Blocks who wants to build this data center. And he's making the argument that we've already bought the land. This property is vested. We have the permits in hand. We are going to build this data center. The irony, Robert, that I did not tell you about was this man, and maybe it's just a coincidence, I don't know, but this lawyer is up there in snakeskin boots. So not only is he getting ready
just villain stuff
to provide additional harm to the zoo animals and conservation efforts, because apparently this affects, the noise will impact everything from the way the animals eat to the way the animals breed, okay? Not ideal, especially when we're already doing a lot of things to harm the environment on a regular basis. This mother bleeper up here in his snakeskin boots being like, hey, you know what? Too bad, so sad. You're getting a data center. And the idea, this is not a political show. If you want people that'll rail on Freddie O'Connell for different reasons, you can go down the hall to WTN, and I'm sure they've had plenty of conversations around Freddie O'Connell. And this has only been recently brought to light because there are multiple people who are now reporting on the situation around how the data center just kind of snuck up on everybody, right? Because the zoo found out when we all did, essentially, and have been fighting tooth and nail to stop this. Apparently, the company DC Blocks went to Mayor Freddie O'Connell's office seeking incentives, like building incentives. A lot of companies are receiving incentives to come to Tennessee. Starbucks is bringing a portion of their corporate headquarters. Obviously, Amazon, Oracle. We've talked about this, the way that the city is growing. There's some benefits to that, of course. But DC Blocks went to the mayor's office seeking incentives. The mayor's office declined the incentives and suggested that DC Blocks reach out to the zoo about potentially building a data center next to them. Well, of course, DC Block's not going to, like, okay, sure, Mayor, we'll go do it. And apparently the mayor's office had no further communication with the zoo about the situation. So I'm not saying that it's the mayor's office fault that this snuck up on the zoo the way that it did, but I feel like a follow-up is important there. Be like, hey, we got these guys in our office talking about trying to get money from us to build their data center right across your parking lot. You good? You cool with this? Is this okay? And it just, people somehow allowed it to fall through the cracks in a way that is going to be very harmful to the community, the environment, and the people and the animals in the area at large. And everybody's just throwing their hands up being like, but you let these guys get the permits anyway?
Okay, so we do have a positive update on this story. Happened about 30 minutes into the show. Appreciate Larry reporting, putting this news article in the chat for me to see. Nashville mayor plans to stop data center near zoo with eminent domain. If you're unfamiliar, eminent domain is a power of the government to seize private property for public use without the owner's consent. So they can seize the land for him. This article, courtesy of WKRN, putting out Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell plans to use eminent domain to stop the data center from moving in near Nashville. The mayor released a statement which News 2 acquired, and it reads, quote, we're filling a condemnation legislation because Metro has a legitimate need for this property. What'd I say?
Filling.
Well, they're filling and filing. I have carefully followed the concerns from the community and the zoo and also remain deeply concerned about the proposed use. So I don't know. I don't pretend to be a legal jargon kind of person, but I assume there are steps that go through if you would like to use eminent domain.
Well, what that reads to me is public shame still works. Like, hey, get off your ass and do something about this because it is actively harmful to the community. And I'm not here to wag a finger at Freddie O'Connell and tell him how to do his job. But like, that seems like a big deal to just kind of let it fall through the cracks. And all of a sudden everybody's looking around in May and be like, oh, okay, we got to do something about this. Thank God for Brad Paisley bringing national attention to this situation. He's done a really good job furthering the effort and the fight against the data centers in proximity to people that they can people and things that they can harmfully impact.
The article also notes this. Metro Council is working on legislation that would prevent data centers from being built near schools, churches, and zoos in Davidson County.
Well, that's good.
That is good.
Very
There's
good.
A little bit of good news today.
Okay. Well, that, and you've got your news and flavors.
I can't wait.
Did you turn the game off?
Halftime.
Oh, okay. I was worried for a second. So ALS.org is how you donate to Chris Johnson and so many others, not directly to Chris Johnson, but to ALS Research. Chris Johnson's diagnosis today, continuing to bring additional information and resources to people who are battling this disease. And of course, we wish him the best in his fight and anything that we can do to further support anybody, frankly, in the audience who is dealing with this. I know many people are affected by this disease, unfortunately. And Chris Johnson is a public figure who is bringing additional attention to it. So if we can be of help to you or your families in any way, please do let us know however you choose or however you see fit. It's good to be back. So it's a not a great Monday as far as the topics on hand, but it's I really I don't listen to the show when I'm away. I don't think most of us do, but I do enjoy how much, again, Lucas, you mentioned taking for granted things. I do love how much fun we have every day. So I'm glad to be back, and I hope that Brazil wins.
Me too, buddy.
That's going to do it for us today. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Robert and I will have a primetime video up tonight. You can keep an eye out for that on A to Z Sports at 8 p.m. See you later.